to Leaders of Tomorrow Season 10. It's been 10 seasons of empowering small businesses such as yourselves and hand-holding and guiding you in your growth journey. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. On the show tonight, a conversation as far as the outlook from the real estate space is concerned for 2023. That's with real estate mogul Niranjan Hiranandani. Also on the show tonight, what is the outlook for 2023 from the travel and hospitality space? Vishal Kamat of the Kamat Group joining us on that one. Joining us live at this point, Mr. Hiranandani, someone who needs no introduction. He's joined us several times in the past as well on the show to really set the context for our viewers. And Mr. Hiranandani, as we're counting down to the new year and really the outlook and the demand perspective and pricing, etc. for the new year, I want to start really by asking you to talk about innovation as far as smart housing are concerned and what you can tell us on that.
India is on the move on the technology revolution. All the items of daily life, whether it is the mobile phone or it is the media, the entertainment, the lighting, the heating, all these aspects of it are controlled through technology. The smartphone, the smart home, the smart TV, every aspect of it is changing in a huge paradigm which has taken place. So if you look at a home, when you have technology inputs, you may never have a problem of getting strangers in the home. All get video record. You don't have to worry about opening the door to a wrong person because you can see him and record him and even handle it remotely. All these aspects are extremely important. But more than that, there are efficiencies of a smart building, which means that there is a long-term advantage in it. For example, the type and method of energy use is extremely important and controlled. Because of that, the type of glass that you use, the type of methods of cooling that you use, heating that you use, all this extra cost that you may put into a smart building will be recovered in 2, 3, 4 years, and then the benefits in perpetuity. So smart homes have technology difference which are taking place in upgradation, and all this is leading to the ease of living, happiness, and living smart.
Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets are expected to do much better than metro cities, and that's true of most industries. What can you tell us about the real estate space and how you perhaps tapping that opportunity?
So it is taken for granted that Tier 1 cities are definitely going to grow. But it is also true that Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities have a potential for growth, provided, of course, the infrastructure development of these cities do take place. So subject to that, a large number of people are now working from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities in order that the quality of life may improve. It is easier to live in smaller cities. It is also a benefit in terms of cost inputs which may take place in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So all that and work from home has created an environment where Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities will also improve. However, there are certain innate advantages in certain Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities which may focus on certain type of activity. For instance, Coimbatore could be a textile center, Ludhiana can be a manufacturing center. All these at the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities will imbibe a greater amount of growth and potential of these cities. But it is all the three are going to grow in the next couple of years and next decade.
Can you talk to us about value for money housing as a trend? Your views really on that?
We now believe that the housing market has matured to such an extent wherein the customer is king. He gets a good amount of opportunity to choose a flat, a good opportunity to choose the bank and financial institution from where to get a loan, and the fact that today, as per all information available, the affordability character for a home has improved for the Indian customer. All that and demographics of younger population, the ability of many of the younger people to get jobs at an early age and able to get long-term loans, all this is creating a situation which has a big advantage in terms of the growth of home loans, home buying, and these segments in the entire economy. This is a big paradigm which has taken place in this sector.
Could you call out the big trends as you see it in 2023 for our viewers?
We have a huge funda in terms of the housing sector. So what is the expectations from this sector which is going to take place? All of them will definitely look at value for money as anybody should. Number two, they look for amenities which are otherwise not easily available, whether it is schooling, whether it's hospitals, whether it is retail, and all the other functions which would be there for the purposes of the things tomorrow. And to take it forward in a very, very big way, we would understand that the opportunities are going to be of a scale unheard of before. It is my belief that there is going to be a compounding growth of at least 20% per annum in terms of the home loans, buying which is going to take place in the next couple of years, and will certainly look at making the targets of the Prime Minister of a $5 trillion economy, because the total quantum in terms of home and infrastructure will be actually $1 trillion. So all in all, a great growth story.
We're not very far away from the budget, sir. And my question to you is, with all the talks of recession in 2023, what is its impact likely to be, especially as far as the real estate space is concerned? And what is your main ask of the budget?
The home sector is a very important sector. Roti kapda makan. Till people don't get makan in the country, the essential needs are not going to be met. The budget is extremely important in order to see that this is possible. Couple of things which I would like to flag off. Number one, that the income tax deduction for home loans have been at 2 lakhs of rupees for many, many, many years. We would suggest that that should be increased to 5 lakhs of rupees. The other part of it is that the taxation rate of individual thing, those who are giving on rental or otherwise, is 42%, while the corporate income tax has been lowered to 25%. I think this needs to be changed, and the maximum cannot be more than 35%. So this needs a correction immediately. The third and important factor in terms of it is the ability to sell a house and buy multiple houses. Many people want to have, who have more than one child, would like to sell their one house, go to another location and buy 2 or more houses. I think that benefit should be cleared in the case of multiple houses that are there. This and more is needed from the budget, because if you bring all these factors into account, the ease of being able to buy a house will definitely take place. As it is, interest rates have gone up. These benefits are needed to be given for the purposes of making affordable houses.
Apart from the budget, what is the industry? What is industry expecting to see from the rest of the year as well, from the new year?
I'm very bullish about the real estate sector. The sector has seen a promise in spite of interest rates on home loans going up. So I don't see any problem as far as the growth of this sector. Number two, I think even with a 6.2 GDP growth and overall employment continuing to grow, I think there's a possibility of demand even from the consumers is going to take an upward movement. All in all, the government is spending a large amount of money for the purposes of infrastructure. Look at Mumbai's metro, Crop Sabha Bridge, Coastal Road, Navi Mumbai Airport. All these factors will generate much more demand for housing in all the areas where the connectivity is now sought to be established, especially across the harbour at Panvel. So all in all, I see a very bullish 22-23 and 23-24. So I see a positive trend at the holistic level for the purposes of growth of real estate in the next 2 years, but the entire decade actually.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Pleasure is always having you here. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, a perspective and an outlook on the hospitality space. That's with Vishal Kamat. Back in just a moment. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. I'm in conversation with Vishal Kamat of the Kamat Group. Hi Vishal, good as always to have you here on the show with us.
Namaskar Sunanda, thank you for having me.
Vishal, travel and hospitality of course took a much bigger knock than most other sectors, but seems like this renewed interest really coming back into the space. So let's set the ball rolling by talking about the outlook for 2023.
2023 also seems to be a good year. As of now, when we look at it, first and foremostly, the current year that we are in has been a bumper anomaly for the industry. We have seen a good growth in quarters which were not traditionally very strong, thanks to IPL being in Mumbai a lot and Pune. The Maharashtra hospitality, especially when we look at holistically, has grown very well, and that benefit may not be there next year. But looking at the current trends, what is happening and how the things are, because we still haven't come out of COVID. Frankly speaking, while people are normally living their lives to a great extent, the thing is that international travel and routine travel has still not come to the cyclical form. Hence, what we see is still a quarter-on-quarter play, which we have to take advantage of in the hospitality segment. So while this quarter also seems to be great thanks to a lot of wedding dates, thanks to a lot of inter-city travel, the nature of that has also changed. Popular destinations have seen a little waning, and offbeat, or which were earlier offbeat, have now become more popular. And you find that also that various tourism boards exposing newer and newer locations which weren't so well known, and people going to those places as compared to the traditional ones. So there is going to be a good change, and I think that change is positive for the holistic tourism of industry, whether it is hospitality or tourist destinations.
The way that people want to experience holidays, that's changed, from it just being enjoyment to having some sort of an altered experience really after having taken these holidays. This has been impacted to a large extent, I would say, really by the experience that people had during the pandemic. So my question to you is, are we prepared as an industry really to make that shift along with changing consumer preferences?
See, the thing is, we've always wanted experiences. The nature of the Indian tourist or the Indian consumer, the better word I would say is consumer, is that he is an aspirant and he is also basically we want experience along with that. So when we see in hospitality, we see this in other segments also, where certain premium goods, luxury goods, or interesting kind of products are getting a different kind of boost, a different kind of appeal, and we see traction across. And that is not anything different from hospitality. In hospitality also, we've seen various alternative hospitality players giving curated experiences or unique experiences. Along with that, your mass travel, because in India also, where the unique thing about the Indian market is that we have basically those even today who are coming from the lower segment to the mid segment who's aspiring for the top segment, and then the top segment who has become even more top, having a different kind of thought. So in India, you always have this constant churn. Luckily, we have such a vast demographic that every segment player is able to cater to every segment's need.
For people heavy and intensive businesses such as yours, manpower always continues to be a concern and a question. Are there manpower shortages expected in 2023, and why really is your industry facing these challenges?
It is not only our sector. Frankly speaking, this is a all India problem, and it's also a global problem. If you recall a few months back, where baggage was being piled up in various airports across the globe, that time India didn't have this challenge. Same way, immigration lines were taking even up to 5 hours, 6 hours, without exaggeration. I mean, people have experienced that, and they've come back with horrid experiences. And unlike in India, where you can ask someone to hold the line, abroad it's not like that. You leave the line, you can't come back. So these kind of small things are there which have been being faced by all segments. In India particularly, thanks to our larger demographic base, we have faced a comparatively lesser problem. But yes, our industry has faced this challenge because people have moved to people who earlier migrated for jobs. They've got good opportunities back in their own homes. Corona, one big thing that has done is that it has created an interesting employment opportunity in their own local state or in their own local district, because of which they don't need to do mass migration to a Delhi, Bangalore or Bombay. Today, great experiences and great products have come up across. So you find that in certain urban areas, there is a shortfall where we were always dependent on migrant population. So that is definitely one thing. Multi-skilling is something which our industry has been trying to do from a long time. The biggest problem has been a mindset issue, not actually a skill issue. In India, we've been used to that, okay, ye iska kaam hai, wo uska kaam hai. But now that change has come because of one, definitely paucity of manpower, and two, overall also there is a change in the people's working mindset, where because of how they managed in Corona, now it has become an acceptable thing to do multitasking, though not yet to that level which we find abroad. So, and maybe that level may not be required also, because our scales are different. We seat and dine and seat larger volumes of people than most places abroad. So there is definitely a semi amount of skill development and multi-skilling required within a person's role, but may not be a whole scale index. So that is something which we are addressing, one, through improved staff relations, also through improved, mainly what people want is beyond their job. How do they, one, feel wanted, and two, how you make their work interesting. So whether it is training modules, whether it is staff engagements, these all are the tools used by us to keep in our workforce engaged, and that's how we can hopefully retain them and make them grow also as we are growing.
A few upsides, if I may say so, due to the pandemic has been the fact that hotels, the hospitality industry, the tourism industry as a whole has been forced to really think of a lot of out-of-box ideas and innovations. Talk to us about some of those insights.
We did definitely during pandemic adapt, and I must appreciate our entire industry that we were no less than any hospital or medical service, except for we didn't have certain degrees or qualifications, but we acquired those required skill sets, and we showed that we can be a very valuable part of any national calamity. Tomorrow, any sort of challenge will come, our industry is able. And all we need is the confidence of the government, which many governments did show in us. The Orchid Hotel was one of the first hotels. There were only 12 hotels when we started Vande Bharat. There were few others. I'll be very frank to name that only Taj Hotel, there were few. There were Orchid Hotel and our Andheri property. Along with that, few other hotels like in our neighborhood, thanks to T24 and all. These hotels all came together, and only 12 people started. And from 12, it became a list of 500. So you just need that first one step to be able to take that confidence, and the government backed us in that, and these kind of tools helped us adapt during Corona and at least give consistent employment to our certain level of staff. That was our first major challenge, was to keep the show running, so that your hotel, if it's shut, it's more costly to restart.
All right, Vishal, good as always chatting with you on the show.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Out of time on tonight's conversations. If you have any feedback for us, do let us know. Our details on your screens as we speak. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.